Oh my gosh, there you are. It is the 12th of August, 2024. Nice to have you here for some travel updates. I'm Rudy Maxa. I'm a travel journalist and broadcaster. And the good looking guy who's actually got hair on the other side is my friend Tommy Danielsen. He is an expert on everything involving airlines and airports and frequent flyer points and frequent hotel points and all that stuff. And if you are tuning in for the first time, we do this irregular sort of check in with travel news. And we've got a lot of news today. We won't keep you too long, and we'll try to go through it. First thing I want to tell you is if you've been to San Francisco lately, well, actually in the last year or so, you have probably seen a few driverless cars driving around. I was there a few months ago, and it was quite unusual to see a car pull up next to me and have nobody in it. And this is the Google company Waymo, who had been testing their cars for a long time in San Francisco. Well, they got permission, and they're now going all around San Francisco. In fact, there's a waiting list of 30,000 people to download the Waymo app. But so
Yeah,
now when you go to San Francisco, you're going to be able to ride in a driverless taxi. How are you going to feel about that, Tommy?
I think that's a brilliant thing. I think it's all progress. I think it's good, and you've seen some challenges that they've had with the with in the beginning with those cars running into stuff, and that obviously they'll get that sorted out, right?
Well, I'm just wondering if you're a passenger in the car. Well, I guess you get in the front seat, but you see something that you think is dangerous coming up, if you're not going to be tempted to lurch for the steering wheel to take over. But I guess you can't do that. Probably best to sit in the back seat with a seatbelt on.
Exactly. I think that we're seeing the first taste of future urban transportation. Meaning it'll work itself out and just like anything else. And I think that it's fascinating to do. And also it obviously is it's not only is it safer for drivers late at night and also for customers late at night. It takes one thing out of the equation, that you have a piece of metal versus having a driver that could be robbed and whatnot. So I think it's progress. I think that's great.
Well, let me correct something I just said a moment ago. I said there were 30,000 people waiting to sign up for the app. 300,000, which is a quarter of the population of San Francisco.
That's crazy. That is out of control. So that's pretty cool. I will venture into saying, it's a welcome progress, I would say.
Good. Well, I'm excited for it too. It is unusual. If I know they've been testing some on the streets of Phoenix as well. But if you've never been anywhere to see a driverless car cruising by you or stopping at the stoplight next to you, it is. I mean, I took a picture of it. I saw other people taking a picture of it. Except if you live in San Francisco or Phoenix, you're sort of used to seeing them. But it is strange. It is strange. It'll take some getting used to.
Yeah, it'll be one of many cool things we'll see in years to come if we live that long. How about that, Rudy?
Well, yes. I hope I do live that long to see some more things. So.
Right.
What else you got? What else do we have today?
For the sound. I'm actually in my office today and not at home, so I have a little bit of I don't have a microphone here. I'll remember to bring that next time when we come in. All right. So I found an interesting story this morning that was dropped by 1 Mile at a Time. I actually found this, Gary. On a regular basis, I read Gary every day, but I don't read 1 Mile at a Time and Ben every day. But he's the one that talked about this before, and it's actually kind of interesting to see that Qatar Airways was doing some teasing on Instagram today that they are planning on stay tuned. This is the ad that or the Instagram post that they have. Stay tuned for something that will enhance your onboard dining experience. And then you see the salmon fillet in the background here, which we've known. So Swiss has had the original Balik salmon, which is from Switzerland. Actually, the salmon is not from Switzerland. We'll get back to what Balik.
It looks like it's raw. It looks.
It is definitely
sashimi.
raw. Yeah,
salmon sashimi.
Yeah, we'll get back to that. And obviously, what's usually on the right here is caviar, right? Is that what we were to guess what that is? They're
I
saying
guess so.
they're wanting you to put in, and you can see the condiments here are typical for what you expect to have for caviar. And there's also a mother of pearl spoon on the right, so that to me shows that they're teasing that business class will be offering what you get. Can you guess what will make your Q seat experience better? So that's kind of interesting.
Oh, this is the Q suite, not just regular business lie flat seats. This is your little suite.
I'm sure they will have it on all flights. If it's a business class product, then they talk about the Q suites, and eventually it'll be on all flights. But
Are they pouring some fancy champagne too, I presume?
I don't think that it's that fancy in business class. I don't know what they're pouring right now. I living in California, unless I'm going to Africa, Qatar is not an option for me in very many areas. And
yeah, nor me.
I prefer going the other way, for me, to be honest with you. That's kind of how I do things. But I see Gary is on thin ice talking about Balik salmon, but I'll tell you a little bit about what Balik salmon is and why it's so exclusive. It could be just
what kind of salmon?
So it's Balik salmon. This is not. It cannot. It's
Balik. Balik. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So this doesn't have to be Balik. It can just be the fillet, side fillet of a salmon. It looks exactly like what you see here. This is the Tsar Nikolai cut. So the original from these guys are from a company in Switzerland called Balik, and the best. Gary said that it's $200 a pound. It's not. It is too. It's a little bit more than that, depending on which one you have, which one you get. Usually, they say the Tsar Nikolai Airport is what it's called, or the one for two is usually that's 320 grams and stuff. But I'll tell you the little bit of a story. So, what is Balik salmon? So back in the day, so this salmon comes from Norway. And it's made in Switzerland, but I find it a fascinating story, is because the salmon that this is served on Swiss in first class. They serve this instead of a caviar service, and as you can see, it's pretty expensive compared to caviar, because for each of these $200-$300 it's about $300 fillets.
Well, is Balik a kind of fish or the name of a company?
No, it's the name of the origin from. So the Norwegian.
It's the name of what? What's the name of what?
It's the name of the brand of salmon. So the history here goes back to, and why it's called Tsar Nikolai is because the Norwegian king had a relationship with the Russian Tsar back in the days before the 1917 revolution. And the 1917 revolution, when that happened, obviously, everybody got killed, and things. So the deal that they had is that the Norwegian king would send Norwegian salmon to St. Petersburg, and St. Petersburg they would cure the salmon, make it into smoke it into in the process of making this into what it is today. So it's not like smoked salmon; it's got a milder taste to it. And so that's the way it was when the Russian Revolution happened. These families of the Tsar and the Tsar Nikolai and all of the Romanov family, they escaped. Many of them were killed and captured and killed, but some of them were able to escape. They went, and this family went to Switzerland. And so about in the late 70s or early 80s, it was discovered that the son or the grandson, I don't remember exactly what it was, of the guy who used to make these Balik salmons for the Tsar, he found the recipe that from the early 1900s, and they found the recipe, and they decided, hey, my grandpa used to make this for the Tsar. They had documentation, and they started making these in Switzerland. So now it is a specific high-quality Norwegian salmon that gets shipped to Switzerland, and you can purchase it. And so the Tsar Nikolai number 1 is obviously the better. So 500 grams is about 1 pound, and it's about $340 for that. And you can get, I don't think you can buy the number one. Sometimes you can buy it at Heathrow. They have it at what's it called, the place in Heathrow where they sell caviar.
Champagne and
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like don't remember exactly what you can get it there.
Can you order this? Can you order it from the United States?
You cannot order it from the United States. I think there's one place in New York that sells it, but they don't ship it. So you get it. Usually, what I do, I would get it at Heathrow. I can get it and it's a little bit less expensive than what you see here because it's duty free. Either at Heathrow or in Zurich, they definitely have it. They also have it at some German airports. You bring or Geneva. I bring it on the flight nonstop to the U.S. I ask the crew if they can put it in on some ice. They always comply easily. Actually, they didn't. The last time I did this was not that long ago. I flew BA back, and I got the seriously lame-ass crew who didn't want to store it for me. So they gave me ice instead in a pouch, and I kept it at the seat. But nevertheless, it's a very exclusive salmon. But it doesn't mean that this can just be. You can buy like a side of salmon made in the same method, which is lower quality, or it can be good also. Believe me, there are places that Marky's in the U.S. sells it. For example, you can get it shipped overnight. You can get it here, and they, obviously they're not going to sell a high quality caviar in business class or serve a high quality caviar in business. As you know, caviar you can get from $15, $20, or whatever, $40, or depending on how much the volume is, to thousands of dollars. There are many different styles. Same goes for the Balik salmon. This is like the
How do we get on this topic? How do we get on this 20-minute topic? Is the airline claiming this is Balik salmon?
It's a fascinating story, and I think that it's interesting that somebody.
But I mean, is the airline claiming it's Balik salmon?
They have just put a teaser out. Qatar Airways put a teaser out, and when they put a teaser out, that was pretty much the only thing that we know so far is that there is a teaser about them that they are going to improve, and we see the salmon on the left. It's probably not Balik. And on the right, you can guess if it is caviar, and which is probably is. So
how did it come up? Did Gary Leff say it was?
It was Ben Schloppig at 1 mile at a time. Noticed it this morning in the Qatar Instagram feed is what we see these screenshots from.
And he said it was Balik salmon.
He said it was. This is the only thing that was leaked. There's no official stuff other than the Instagram feed. We see salmon on a plate. We see somebody covering up some caviar. What quality it is, or if it's real Balik, which I highly doubt that it is, because it will cost to serve this amount of Balik. What you're looking at here is like $50 worth of Balik, right, or $35 worth of Balik if it's original.
Right. Okay.
All right. So let's move on to the next thing. We're short and sweet here. Fifth Freedom flights are really interesting, and there used to be a Houston to Moscow flight, Fifth Freedom flight, and now we're seeing.
You got to explain what a Fifth Freedom flight is to folks.
Right. So an airline can do a stop somewhere on a way to a destination. So saying that. Say, for example, in this instance, Singapore flies to Houston, and they do an intermittent stop in Manchester on the way, so you can travel through to one and just add. So, for example, the Emirates just added Dubai to Miami onwards to Bogota in Colombia as a Fifth Freedom flight. So you can purchase this flight alone. Like you can fly on an Emirates 777, I think it is, they're using to Bogota from Miami instead of flying on a crappy American Airlines 737. You can buy first class, you can buy business, et cetera, et cetera. It's obviously a waste of money. I think that first class for that leg for a little bit north of 3 hours.
So a Fifth Freedom flight is one leg of a longer flight with a stop.
Correct.
You don't go the whole route. You get off in between, halfway there, or at the next stop.
And there are many examples of this, and airlines have done this from time to time. Like we have the Emirates one that goes from Bogota to Miami and to then to Dubai, and then you also have Emirates has Newark to Athens, for example, nonstop. They have JFK to Malpensa in Italy is another example, and onwards to Dubai. Singapore has they've always had Singapore has JFK to Frankfurt. And Frankfurt, then onwards to Singapore, etc., etc. So these are all over the place, and I think also Singapore also does Milan to Barcelona. I think they do, or is it Madrid? One of those two they do as a fifth freedom. So
what is Singapore cutting here? Are they cutting the whole flight, or just
to Houston? It used to be Moscow to Houston, but of course that one went away a few years ago, and now they're also cutting the replacement, which was Manchester to Houston. I'm not surprised about this. I've flown this flight once, and it was extremely easy to find award space on it. And I was I think, was it a triple? I think it was in first class, actually.
So is Singapore still flying from Singapore to Houston, but not stopping in Manchester?
No,
is
they're
that
not.
the point?
Houston is out. It's not on their map anymore. There's no equipment that can fly Singapore to Houston. It doesn't exist. So you have to do a stop. All right, let's move on to Delta, who is now starting to doing their international rollout for free Wi-Fi. So in general, I think that it's fascinating that you have kind of a monopoly up in the sky, and you can't. There's only one provider that can provide internet, and that's the airline and their internet provider. So we're seeing a lot of things happen now in the free Wi-Fi spell. So Delta has as a goal to have. Delta has decided they're going to have free Wi-Fi on all of their flights, and not just the domestic that they rolled out last year.
That's great. International free Wi-Fi? Great.
International free Wi-Fi is now rolling out. Yeah, and a lot of other, it's not just Delta. I told you on Saturday, I flew from Maui nonstop back to where I live in Sacramento, and they had what's it called again? The Starlink, the Elon Musk is the company that offers Wi-Fi or satellite internet, and it worked. It was super. It's the best.
This was Delta. This was Delta out of Maui.
That was Hawaiian. So
and did they have free Wi-Fi?
They had free Wi-Fi, and Starlink is so easy. It is the best user experience I've ever had on any airline on Wi-Fi, from like Connection by Boeing back in 2005, 6, 7, which was the first provider of Wi-Fi.
Is Delta Starlink?
I don't think so. I think they have another provider of that, but Viasat equipment. So here's the rollout plan. But to finish, so Starlink, it requires. I locked on my phone. I clicked on the Starlink Hawaiian Airlines network. I hit accept. Boom! I was online. It was one button. No emails. No BS. No phishing and all sorts of stuff. That's how I like it, to be honest with you. So the rollout plan for the Delta, they will have Delta International flight will have free Wi-Fi by late 2025. July 2024, free Wi-Fi is available on routes to and from France. August 2024, UK, Germany, Netherlands, Spain, and Italy. September 2024, Iceland, Ireland, Israel, Belgium, Czech Republic, Denmark, Greece, Portugal, Sweden, and Switzerland. October, South America. December and January 2025, Nigeria, Ghana, and Senegal. And then from mid 2025, the rest of the network. My goodness. That is seriously cool that they're doing that.
Yep. Very
and
cool.
Also JetBlue also has for a long time had free Wi-Fi, also super fast, but not the easiest to connect to. The last time I flew JetBlue, it's very infrequent. I flew from San Diego to New York in Mint, and it was a pain in the butt to get on, to be honest with you. So I think that's something, but it's cool that it's free.
Well, if you're an expat, or if you want to be an expat and live abroad,
yes,
a survey of 12,500 global citizens reveal the best places in the world to take up residence. And the number, well, should I start with number 10 and move up to number 1, I guess?
Yes, of course.
Number 10 is the United Arab Emirates, which I wouldn't necessarily have thought of right off the bat. Number 9 is the Philippines, which I wouldn't have thought of either, but, you know. Number 8 is Vietnam. That's reasonable. Number 7 is Brazil. Have you ever heard of Brazil being a great expat place?
There are a lot of old
I guess
timers who wants a young girlfriend that moves there for sure. Yeah.
if you go to the beach and stay out of the capital
Yeah, I
city.
mean, there's corruption and crime and all that kind of stuff. To me, it definitely does not feel like
Doesn't appeal to me. Number
yeah,
6 is Thailand. You know I have a predilection for Thailand, so I can
yeah,
understand. Number
but
5 is Colombia. Okay.
right.
4 is Spain. Okay. Number 3, Indonesia. All right. Number 2, Mexico, of course. And number 1, Panama, which is apparently fairly reasonably priced and good medical facilities and easy access to the States. I'm
Mhm.
surprised Portugal wasn't in here though, but
Yeah,
it
I
wasn't.
think that Portugal is now has it's not an open country as it used to be. As you can see here on this list, there's no, except for Spain, there's no
European
European country.
country.
I'm surprised that Spain's even on there because it's not as easy that as just picking up and moving to the EU zone. That requires
Right,
paperwork. I mean,
right,
Portugal had an avenue to how to
right.
do it. They've closed that avenue now. They don't want more people to work there anymore. It used to be, a thing, and you can also do like. If you have $1 million laying around, you could just get your Malta,
Residence visa, yeah.
Malta residency or Malta citizenship. I think it is for
I don't
about
want
$1
to live
million.
in Malta either.
No, but you don't have to live in Malta. That
I
means
know, you get your EU passport, right?
you get your EU, Schengen, EU,
Yeah,
or
then you can live in,
you
then
can
you can
live in
live.
any EU or EEC countries, which is
Well,
obviously
I have never been to Panama, but one interesting thing, of course, is they use the US dollar there. So that makes things
yes,
a lot easier. You're not figuring out exchange rates and the cost of living. You can apparently, according to this piece in International Living, you can live well for $2,500 uh, or less a month. That includes rent, which is, not too expensive.
yeah. I mean, it's not that much more expensive, on this list. Obviously, these are easy countries, minus Spain on the list. I don't know how Spain ended up there, but
Right.
it's not that easy to get an EU residency. But all of the other lands or countries on the list are typically like third world countries, and UAE is I understand why they're here, but I don't see as an expat. That's to avoid taxes and to avoid accountability and for run a company from there. I know people that do that. It's not
If you're in the witness protection program, it's probably a good place to go. Right.
right. It's not an extradition agreement. So there are things on this list, and there's also the typical hoochie mama places here, like the Philippines and Thailand and Brazil are also, and Indonesia to an extent as well. Old timers who wants a younger girlfriend and has limited funds because like you said, you're living like a king in many of these countries, and your money goes a long way. So it's easier to bag a better looking woman than yourself when you have cash, right?
I don't know if I'm agreeing with that politically incorrect statement, but okay.
No, but it's true. It's nothing wrong with it. It's just that it's a decision that some people make. And who knows? Maybe sometime in the future, when Melinda finally throws me out, you'll find me down there. So, but
well, Portugal came in at number 15, Belgium 18, Luxembourg number 20, Austria 24th place, and Denmark 25th place. So there are some other Schengen countries.
I feel like the paperwork is just extensive to get that rocket rolling, of course. And there are avenues. If you have money, it's not an issue for you to get citizenship or any sort of
residency.
Residency anywhere. It's a thing. I like, for example, I mean, looking at how much it costs to live in Italy if you're not in a touristy town, and if you own your property and there's no property taxes there and things like that. If you own a place in Italy or if you rent a place in Italy, it is not an expensive country to live in either.
Right. And I always thought, you and I once went to Georgia. You weren't as crazy about it as I was, but I really liked it. But now that there's this whole political problem about the Russian influence there and so on. Georgia's looking less attractive, but I would have put it on my list too.
Yeah, I have no issue. I've been to Georgia before we were there, but and also you remember we weren't in Tbilisi for you were in Tbilisi a few days. I wasn't there. I
Yeah,
flew in
yeah.
the morning and I took a 3-hour nap before we got on the bus trip from hell up to the Kaspeki Mountains. So for me, that was kind of a gig.
Well, it was cheap in Tbilisi. I'm sure it's less cheap now that a lot of Russian guys trying to get
A lot of
fight in the
YouTube
war camp
Russian YouTubers have
moved
fled
there.
Russia and are living in Georgia. I mean, there's.
But I got to think if you went out into the country in Georgia, it must be really inexpensive to live. So.
You remember we stopped at that place where we had a shot and there were the dancers and everything. It seemed like it could be an inexpensive place to live. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else we got today?
Yeah, we've got a couple of interesting things I found that's kind of a little bit out of the ordinary. So I found this all of a sudden it just popped up on my and I was playing investigative journalist this morning. So back in the days when you were outing politicians in DC, when you were an investigative reporter before you became one of the world's leading and most respected travel journalists, you were a political commentator and also an investigative reporter in Washington D.C. Not a lot of people know that.
No, they don't. Well, I wasn't a commentator. I was an investigative reporter and magazine writer, but I was not a commentator. But you're right. I was at the Washington Post right out of college and broke a lot of political, financial, and sex scandals. But is this the ship where you were going to move on to it and live on it for 3 years?
Yeah, and it's a story. So if we talk about the Villa V first, so there is something called the World, the
Right.
residency, the World, which has been around for like 25, 30 years, which is super duper expensive. So this is the ship. It's an old Fred Olsen ship. And for those who know, Fred Olsen is a Norwegian guy, a lot of Norwegian angles today. And he is a billionaire from Norway. I think that he passed actually, or maybe if he didn't, I think he did. I think he passed. And his son, Petter Olsen, is still alive and kicking. And he owns one of the biggest private Edvard Munch collections in the world. He has 2 variants of the screen, by the way. So because Edvard Munch, he made more than one screen. And he's, donated or has a big part of the new Munch Museum in Oslo. Yeah, so this he has donated a lot of the paintings, or they're borrowing, or whatever. How rich people do things like that. This is the ship that was a Fred Olsen cruise ship because he used to own a cruise line back in the day. It's from the mid to late 90s, is what it is. It's a smaller ship, and as you can see, very, very few balconies and a lot of window stuff. It's only the top deck here that has balconies on it. So what somebody did here is that they have, if we were to go, the way that it works, you could either buy the ship is going to go 3.5 times around the world first, and you can, and it's got a schedule that's on the website. It goes all around, crazy routing, lots of interesting places, and also they are mooring up or staying in ports a lot longer than normal. Like the World Cruises, they go to a destination, and most of them you just stop for the day. You go on to the next one. Here, it stays a few days in Singapore. It stays a few days in Namibia. So you can get on land and you can do some more things than just rush back to the cruise ship.
I like that.
Yeah, I like it as well. So it's an interest. Before you get excited, though, what the most fascinating thing here about this is the drama that's going on right now. But if we were to say that we were to look at what's available, so here is what the green ones are available, and they are for sale.
So you actually buy a berth?
You buy one of these. So the red ones are taking, and so you could either buy segments of it, or you can purchase it. And when you purchase it, you own the cabin for 15 years. But you have to pay a monthly fee for the food and the drinks and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And with that in mind, it's a game. But let's take a look what they have. So here is the here's the window, the big window one. I actually saw this from there are a couple of it's funny with old timers doing YouTube stuff. So they're going to be influencers now. These old timers that are on the ship. There's a couple of channels that just popped up in my feed yesterday. They had the bed the opposite way. I think you can still put the bed the opposite way. So this is a window one, and you pay $169,000. Then you own it, and then you pay, if you're solo, it's just you. You pay $4,000 a month.
Whoa.
And for $4,000 a month, it includes food, all the food. Like if you're on a cruise ship, it includes laundry, it includes food, it includes some alcohol. It includes for each meal, you're eating lunch or you're eating dinner, you get 2 alcoholic drinks with that.
Okay.
And probably not the most rock and rolly wine in the world. So that's if you have a window. If you have a balcony, you have to go up to like the higher deck. So this is one that has a balcony. It is $7,000 a month, and it's $299,000 to purchase.
Wow.
So, but think about it. If you were talking about rent here, $7,000 a month, and you're moving around the world, and all the taxes and fees are included, not bad. I would say that it's not true. Not an undeceive here. There's a one bed. It's they're not doing it themselves any favor by showing how the pictures look. I also found there was a deluxe balcony on the top deck. There are some suites here, but here is kind of the most desirable area. There are still 8, so it's $8,000 a month, and it has like a real balcony, and it has some square footage where you can, do your work and things like that, right?
But there's a problem, isn't there?
There is a problem. So looking at the, I don't know what the rules are from showing videos on YouTube, but here is a couple of people. There's a guy from Sweden and this lady from the U.S. somewhere that have bought one of these things. Mm-hmm. And they are the ship is in Belfast, and ironically, it is at the Titanic yards, right? That's where the ship
being
is
reconfigured, right?
Right. And it was supposed to leave on the 31st of July. First, it was supposed to leave in May. Now it was supposed to leave on the 31st of July. And they have given the people who have bought it, they have access to the ship, but they can't stay overnight. So they get their cabins, they get to, decorate it and do various things with it and move their stuff in. And they can be on the ship and get free food, and they can get drinks, but they have to get off the ship and go back to whatever hotel that they have to pay for themselves. Is kind of a gig. But let's watch a video for a second. Can you hear that?
I can't hear anything, but I can say it's captioned though. So they're admiring it. He says she's a pretty ship. Pretty cool.
Well, let's go. I'm going to go forward to where we get.
I mean, are they paying $7,000 a month now, or if they can eat food and drink, or no, not yet?
They're not paying the $7,000. The ship hasn't left yet, so I can't imagine.
I know.
I don't know for sure, but they're not paying. I can't imagine that. This cabin is the one without the window, which with the window, not with the cabin that they have only has a window and also has an obstructed view. So I think it's $4,000 a month for this one.
Okay.
It's all of these are sold out, so I can't gather. But it's the lowest I found is these with the window with the view. So let's.
Okay, so he's checking out their cabin.
And there you go. There's the life raft.
Okay. All right. You got a nice view of the life raft, right? Okay.
Yeah. So I find it fascinating. So I did a little bit of digging. I found it fascinating that they were letting people on the ship, and they get to have food. And the channel is called Living Life on a Cruise is what it's called, the channel. There was also another channel. If you search for the name of the ship, the Villa V Odyssey, you'll find these channels on YouTube. And there's also some drama around it because it's so delayed. So apparently what was said during this video is that they had some rudder issues. The thickness of the rudder for going around the world was not thick enough. So they had to be replaced. They're now being replaced as we speak, and they're supposed to be taken off a little bit later this month. But if you look at that, I also popped up in my view that the CEO and founder of this company, and about, I would say 70% of the cabins have been sold. If you look at the ship itself, can you still see the? Yeah, you can still see it. So if we see the deck plans of the thing, if you start at the bottom, they've sold all of the cheapo ones at the bottom. All of these are sold.
Okay.
And I think that these are one of the ones that we saw. No, it was 4. It was on deck 4. So they have one of these.
The green ones are not sold?
The green ones are not sold. No, the red ones are. All of
Okay.
the inside ones are sold.
Okay.
And on the top floors with the more expensive balcony ones, there are more that are taken. All the big suites are taken and things like that. And the other, the ownership suite is taken, and with a big balcony outside, and that kind of stuff. As you can see, there's some significant here. I would say would be probably the best area. You've got full access to the pool and stuff and whatnot. So I would say 2/3 have been sold. But the CEO is telling you about what happened, and the CEO's name, I Googled it, and guess what? He was the head of sale for a Turkish-owned similar concept that was kind of in a scandal that was canceled last November. So I think that he's taken some of these customers and moved over to the new cruise line or to his ship. What happened here? This is the company, the Turkish company that did this. They had acquired a ship that would never be approved to do this kind of thing. So they tried to source a new ship. It wasn't successful, so they decided to do a refund. And there were some issues getting the refund. But to the best of my knowledge, everybody got their refunds for it, because I think that the company, the Turkish company that did this, they are a ferry company in Turkey and also other transportations. I think it's a bigger company, but it took a while to get a refund because everybody was charging back on their credit cards. And I read this article, stormy waters and all that kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. And as of this article, there were some people had gotten their money, others had not. People did a chargeback, so there were so many that did a chargeback that the bank, they froze the account.
Right.
And so that was the explanation. I don't have a confirmed update on it, but the head of sales is the guy who took the idea. It's not stole it. He took the idea from Mirai Cruises and started his own gig. And now,
so is the Odyssey allegedly going to work out?
There are people on it, and they painted the whole ship, and they were doing massive repairs. If you look at the videos that are available online, they've spent, hundreds of thousands of, if not millions of dollars on refurbishing.
So when are they saying it's supposed to leave the
shipyard?
It
was supposed to leave on the 31st of,
well, we missed that date, right? That was 31st.
Destination download itinerary. So if you were to look at the,
website.
If I can share this, I wonder if I can share it because it's an Excel file.
Well, just tell us. Is it supposed to have left
it
July 31st?
was supposed to. Let me see when it was supposed to leave. It's supposed to leave on the 30th of July. It was supposed to leave Belfast, where the ship is still today. Today is the 12th of August, so it hasn't obviously not left yet, and it's and it hasn't left. So will it leave? I think so. I think it sounds fascinating to me that it's a good idea, but I mean, if you pay $200,000, and let's say that 2 years from now, the dude spends all the money, and either the maintenance fee has to go up or some scam happens, who knows?
Right.
It's not a big company, right? It's not a
right.
Carnival or Royal Caribbean or anything like that. So it's I would say it's kind of risky, if you will. They're saying now that on the 15th of August it will depart, is what they're saying. Not sure if that's true or not, but that's the newest the newest gig that we have. So I recommend everybody who finds this fascinating to go on and check out these YouTube channels. See, the search I did here is what I did, Villa V Residences, and you can see what's happening with that. Interesting stuff.
Well, yeah,
Would you consider buying a place on this, Rudy?
No, but I mean, I'll give them a round of applause if they actually set sail, because these are so difficult. These these cruises. They seem to run into. I'm looking at some of the stories. First, there was a 3-year cruise that never took off. That's the previous one, the one you were just
Right.
talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this was postponed, July 27th. We're launching this week for sure, says the owner. No, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I'm trying, keep reading, trying to see if they got another. No. There's still no. I don't know.
So the owners are on the ship. I mean, look at if you look at my feed, the feed on the right here, you can see there. This is the midlife cruising. It's kind of funny. It's like a cringy channel with a couple of boomers trying to make a YouTube channel. I found that kind of funny, and it's like subscribe. Maybe they'll get a hang of it. But also these other two yo-yos here, the living life on a cruise. Just subscribe to those if you want to figure out. But let's check in with them in a couple of weeks and see what happens.
Yeah, see if they've left port. All right, can we wrap it up? Is that about it? I
got one more thing I wanted to talk a little bit about. There was an interesting incident that happened a couple of days ago.
My God.
Alaska Airlines flight was forced to divert because the pilot wasn't qualified to land at its intended destination.
How did they know that? How did they know that?
People on the flight were actually reporting this. So an Alaska Airlines flight from San Francisco to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. So Jackson Hole, it's a hoity-toity location where a lot of Californians have.
But a little airport. Little
airport, and it's also, it's you pay a premium to fly into that airport also if you want to do nonstop. So it is Alaska Airlines, operated by SkyWest, is their partner. But as a customer, you can't, Alaska can't blame SkyWest and just say this and that. And it's got Alaska logos all over the plane. It says Alaska everywhere. It's sold on their website, and who operates the flight is really pretty interesting.
So who blew the whistle? You think one of the crew members blew the whistle?
So here's the story, and it's been verified also. The pilot that in question, who was the captain of this flight, he took off from San Francisco. And it's about just north of 2 hours between San Francisco and Jackson Hole. And on approach to Jackson Hole, it was apparent by them that
apparent to whom? The control tower?
Apparent to the pilot that there was weather in the area, and he was not authorized to do a landing because he didn't have enough hours training to land so he wasn't certified to land at Jackson Hole Airport at that time.
So did he self-report?
He went on the horn and he said, "Hey, I'm not certified to land here. We're going to have to divert, and we're going to divert to Salt Lake City." He made a public address on the PA system on the plane and saying that he was not. The cabin crew were preparing the cabin for arrival. Pilot came on the horn and said, "Hey, I'm really sorry, folks, but due to me not having the proper qualification to land in Jackson Hole, we need to divert to Salt Lake City, Utah. We'll keep you posted on the next steps," the pilot said. And
when did it occur? Didn't it occur to him before he took off?
One would think, but so Paddle Your Own Canoe. It's a reputable website. I like Paddle Your Own Canoe. It's got a lot of pilots and flight attendants hanging around the site, and it's I personally think that he writes some good stuff. So,
Paddle Your Own
Canoe. In the comment field on the Paddle Your Own Canoe Facebook page, there's a big debate. I participated in the
I've never heard of Paddle Your Own Canoe website.
Yeah, paddleyourown.canoe.com.
Well, so what happened? So they landed.
So what happened is they landed in Salt Lake City. They had to wait for 3 hours while they sourced 2 and some change hours, while they sourced another pilot that could come in, that was qualified to operate the flight. And they flew and they landed in Jackson Hole without further incident. That's
so no explanation of why the guy took off, knowing.
There has been no public.
Response.
Yeah, there has been no public response from Alaska or from SkyWest, but apparently it had to do with the high minimums, meaning that it had to do with the visibility and the weather in the area, to me. like if I were to say what I feel about it, I think it's amateur hour. The pilot shouldn't be scheduled for this flight to begin with. If it's a complicated airport and he's not qualified, even if it's like, oh, he can land when it's clear, but he cannot land when it is there when there's
maybe he figured, well, if it's clear, I can land with no problem, even if I'm not.
Well, at least he was honest. He did the right thing. He did it, but he should have never. I can't believe it. It's kind of alarming to me. He could have just swung it, and he probably would have gotten away with it.
Right.
And it probably would have ended up fine. But he decided to do the right thing and to divert. But for people for the customer, I can't believe. I'm literally shocked that Alaska Airlines dispatches a pilot or SkyWest. I don't know what the internal gig is with either one of those two airlines. I can't believe that either of the airlines operating the flight that the dispatcher doesn't know that the pilot doesn't have enough hours to land there. Because what the pilots are saying, the pilot's going to bat for him on the. I encourage you to stop by the Paddle Your Own Canoe Facebook page. It's got about 18,000 followers or something. A lot of pilots in there saying, he did the right thing. He landed. It's like, yeah, but he should. I agree. The pilot did the right thing, but he should never have been put in that thing in the situation in the first place.
Well, I hope the airline refunds everybody their cost of the flight at least.
Right. So it says that this time we did land in Jackson after they took off from Salt Lake City on the Reddit post that was there. But it was perhaps the bumpiest landing in the descent I've ever experienced. Overall, we landed about 3 hours later. We're supposed to because of an unqualified pilot. So, it's RP. As you know, there's no regulation, so they're not going to. Alaska Airlines doesn't owe them any money, right?
Right.
So it's just one of those things. And I found it fascinating that this was. I didn't even think that this was even possible. It should be prevented.
I've never heard of it.
No, I have never heard of it either. And and we say that every once in a while, don't we? It's kind of often that we do say things like that because and yet things happen.
Yep.
And that's
thank you.
all she wrote for today.
Thank you for joining us. As I say at the end of every one of the time we do this, because it stays up on Facebook and YouTube in memorial, I don't know. You've got to know that the information we talked about today, to our best of our ability and best of our knowledge, is accurate as of August 12th of 2024. August 12th of 2024 is when we did this live, and if you're watching it after a date, it's been recorded. Keep that in mind, and I'll say goodbye, Tommy. We'll do it again soon.
Thanks for tuning in, folks.
Thank you.